Welcome to the GSD with Jeni podcast, where we talk about how to overcome all the stuff that gets in the way of getting shit done. Imposter syndrome, fear, money, relationships, networking, building businesses. We're going to talk to experts, or as I say, mavens, that provide practical and tactical advice on how to GSD. I'm your host, Jeni Buchholz, founder and CEO of Haven Creative. I started my business with $300 in a laptop and grew it to a team of Haven mavens, serving clients around the world and generating over 7 figures in revenue. I'm incredibly proud of the success we've had, but I still need help too. So I started this podcast with the intent to dive deeper into the things that hold us back from achieving our goals. So thank you for joining me on this journey to GSD. Let's get started. Welcome, Mavens. Today, we're diving into a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It is building community with purpose. Whether you're growing a brand, leading a team, or launching a movement, none of it happens alone. And no one knows that more than my guest, Dana Wilke, who is the co-founder of the Jessi Combs Foundation and the executive director.
Hi, Jeni.
Hi. How are you?
I'm really good. This is really, really great to be here. SEMA 2025. Here we are.
Yes, and this is really funny because this is the first time we're meeting in person.
As I said over text, I feel with Zoom and all the things, you feel like you know somebody because you kind of do. And yeah, it actually leads into the community side. I'll talk about it in a bit, but using the power of technology, but harnessing it for good, but when to use it, when not to use it. But that brought us together through Warren Industries, through our male allies out there. The Warren guys, put us together, and it took about 10 minutes. All right, this chick wants to GSD.
Right. You can say get shit done.
I can get shit done.
You can get shit done. Right. That's what it's all about. And that's the cool thing about community, right? Is if you have a purpose, a shared mission, it's a lot easier to find people that are like you, to work together and then build something amazing. So tell us a little bit about Jessi and her story and how you met.
Wow. Well, so do you want me to do this at the end or at the beginning?
Because wherever you feel.
Well, I think I'd like to do it now because it's really an important piece of it. And for anybody watching or listening, if you're not watching, but I'm holding a Jessi Combs tribute bandana. So this bandana, it really stands for everything that Jessi stood for: the grit, the courage, the determination, everything Jessi worked so hard for. And we've really used it as a banner of everything the mission of the foundation is today in the community. And so when you see these dots, you know that they're earned. We don't give them out per se. There are only 3 ways you can get one. It's either you donate to the foundation online, you put tools in your hands at a workshop, or you're in service to the organization and in furthering Jessi's mission, going above and beyond. And that's what you're doing, Jeni. And so I want to present you with this because you earned it. So Jeni, thank you for being a part of the mission. And so for anyone watching, that's when you see these dots, you can kind of look around at the SEMA show. And you'll start to see them. And if you see those Jessi dots, it's somebody you probably want to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the cool part about kind of the whole community and connecting the dots is having the best brands in the world are recognizable instantly. And so when you can see this bandana across the hall, on a motorcycle going down the highway at 80 miles an hour, and you're like, it's really tied some women together. So it's the power.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be a part of the organization because educating to empower is such a big component of it, and driving that purpose aligns with me and Haven as a company. So, but yeah, tell us the story.
So my Jessi story. So there I was. I met Jessi essentially by inviting myself to a meeting that I wasn't invited to.
Okay.
Yeah, which always kind of makes people laugh because it's like, when I look back, I didn't really realize what I was doing when I was doing it, but I was given a goal. I worked for Harley Davidson at the time.
Yep.
For the factory, and my boss at the time came up to me and said, "Hey, Dana, you need to figure out how to get more women to ride their motorcycles to the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally." 80-year-old rally, male dominated, it's like a historic, really iconic event. And and by the way, you have a couple months and not much budget. And I'm like, all right, I'll get right on that. And so as I sat there, I was like, I had a lot of thoughts on it. I've been a motorcyclist my whole life, learned to ride when I was 9. And I'm like, who would I want to talk to about this? I know that I have thoughts, but this is a challenge for multiple minds. Like the more minds we can get on this, the better, the faster, the whatever. and different strengths. And so somebody a friend of mine said to me, hey, you should think of, I started talking about it, like kind of the manifesting. It's like I just started talking about it and speaking it into existence.
Yeah.
I find myself doing that a lot lately. And
it's good for goal setting.
Yeah. And it's like, it's cool that you can call it that. You don't know you're doing it at the time, but you're speaking it. It's that manifesting anyway. So I started talking about it just in my daily life or in job. And somebody said, you should talk to Jessi Combs. And I was like, I'm like, that name sounds familiar, but I didn't know Jessi, and I didn't grow up in the car world. And I grew up in motorsport, but in a different sector. And so I Googled her and I was like, holy shit, this is exactly who I need to talk to.
Yeah.
But I don't know her. Like, how do I get a hold of her? Like, wow, she grew up in Sturgis, South Dakota. She rides a Harley Davidson. Like, I'm like, this is like the perfect chick. Like, how do I get to this chick?
Yeah.
Because I want to know what she thinks.
Yeah.
That's like my mindset is like I have thoughts. Somebody else has thoughts, like more and more and more. And like, that's how we get shit done. Yeah. And so I'm like, how do I get to this woman? And I never really let anything hold me back when it comes to seeing someone that, like no one's too famous or too something. Like, I'm like, no, they have something that we could help each other.
So I love that you're saying that too, just to pause for a second, because I think some people are so afraid to approach people, but like we all put our pants on one leg at a time. Like they're the same, they're human beings.
Literally.
Just go talk to them.
And a lot of times, I mean, I have worked with high level Fortune 500 executives, and a lot of times those folks really want some realness.
Yes, I also see the same thing. It's like you just want authenticity at the end of the day.
Yeah, they want something real. They're craving it. This sounds like I don't know, it's like a cliche thing, but they say it's like lonely at the top.
Yes,
but
it is
true.
It is.
And so I found in my career that no one's too high or low or anything. It just go and be be respectful and
be curious.
And that's never steered me wrong when it comes to executive level in a boardroom or on a racetrack or, out in the community. You just be respectful, be confident, and just don't let anything hold you back in that way. And that's how I looked at Jessi, was like, this chick I want to know more about and I want to learn from her.
So how'd you find her?
So I realized that happened to be the year also, and like this confluence of this kind of kismet, I guess, that Jessi had just been named the first ever female Grand Marshal of the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally.
So it was perfect time. Yeah.
So it was like, and it turned out then I started asking around, and I'm like, oh, and Harley Davidson gifts a motorcycle to the Grand Marshal every year. That's part of the package when you get named, and there had never been a female. So lo and behold, that's Jessi. So then I find out, all right, so someone from my colleagues must have been, in touch with her to get her that motorcycle. So how do I find that person? And that's how I found out one of my, on my social media team at Harley. I called one of the guys and they're like, yeah, we got a meeting with Jessi Combs. I'm like, yeah, send me the invite. And he's like, okay. And then I don't know I can't even remember if he did send it or I had follow up, but I was like, just, I could tell there was like hesitation, like, why, Dana? But like, whatever. And so I sat in on the call, and it was a call because I was field based at the time. I was in Los Angeles, and Harley's based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, world headquarters. And so I call in and we sit through the call and they talk all the logistics. And then at the very end, I was like, hey, Jessi. She's like, hi. And I'm like, my name's Dana. You don't know me, but do you have a couple minutes at the end of the call just to stick around? She's like, sure. And like in her Jessi, like, of course she did, because she always made time for people, always. And so we stuck on, she stayed on the end of the call. That turned into like 3 hours, and we covered everything from, whatever business to boyfriends to what do you ride? What do you do? And it just like fast friends. And it just, when you have that kind of connection, and I don't know, I always say this, that I saw this in Jessi, it can be lonely to be a trailblazer.
Yeah.
And so, she had this public persona, but she was just a great girlfriend, like just a friend you'd want to be around. And that's how our friendship started in that way. It was through business, but through passion for riding motorcycles. So by the end of that, we met for lunch the next day at at Earth Cafe. She's like, do you want to ride to Sturgis with us? And I was like, hell yeah. So next day we met, started route planning. She introduced me to Teresa, her business partner with Real Deal Revolution. And we met out, we did like a little think tank workshop out in Joshua Tree in Pioneer Town, and rented an Airbnb out there and just kind of spread out on a big table, laptops and everything. And then I brought Harley Davidson on as a sponsor of that ride. My boss, that, I was like, hey, I got an idea. This is how we're going to bring more women to.
That's really what she was about, right? Is it bringing more people, women in the trades, but then it was at some point just anyone in the trades.
Yeah.
Really passionate about sharing knowledge, but it seemed like she was a connector.
She was. And I think she was ahead of her time in a lot of ways, what I call in kind of the, whatever you want to call it, female empowerment. But she was a high achiever. She was driven. She was ambitious, all while bringing others, especially women, along with her.
We call that a GST maven, by the way.
Yeah. And that the world needs more of that.
Yes.
And
so tell us now how you're doing that through the foundation.
Through the foundation. So fast forward, while we lost Jessi, I say to people, we lost Jessi too soon, but she didn't leave us without a roadmap.
Yep.
And so we're following that roadmap that's on our hearts, and I think that's, to me, the truest form of work and vocation and self is when you're, it's something you're passionate about either way. And so my friendship with Jessi and just the human that she was and who I saw that she was in the world was so inspiring to so many people. And so a small group of us, the day that, a few days after Jessi passed, we got together at her house. We're holding our helmets and going, what do we do to continue this? And a group of us co-founded, and we wrote the mission statement for the foundation, which is to educate, inspire, and empower the next generation of trailblazers. And I remember getting a call. I was driving into work in Milwaukee to Harley, and at the time I'd just been transferred from Los Angeles to Milwaukee. And so I moved across the country, and life was in a big shift for me at the time. And I got a call from the co-founders of the board, and they were like, all right, here we got this part of the mission statement, we got this part, and I'm like, trailblazer, that word trailblazer, that's what, like, it just came, it felt like, so we worked that in, and that really anchored. I remember where I was, what street I was driving on when I took that call, and it was just being a part of creating something like that. Like Jessi created like the mission and earned the spotlight that she did. And now we're here to kind of put the framework or the scaffolding around that in some way, I think.
Yeah.
And so putting words to it, Jessi embodied it as a human being in the world. And now it's a challenge.
That's what I was going to ask you next, is like, what is the greatest challenge? So you're starting out a nonprofit to help spread that energy that she had and keep it going and keep that ember alive. What were those early days like?
Jeni, that is like, man, I look back now, and it's, when you're in it, you don't really realize it sometimes. I don't know if you can relate to that,
sure. But
it's like you have something that you really, is important. I mean, and that's what, I guess I skipped over a quick part, which was my resignation from Harley Davidson. And so when, it just jolted my life. There was a lot going on, and the mission of the Jessi Combs Foundation was in my resignation letter to Harley Davidson.
Oh, wow.
I knew I knew that it was time for me to fly onto something next. I loved and revered the brand. 15 years with the brand. I bleed black and orange, and
15 years, and you cut loose.
I cut loose.
I
trained my 401k. Like, I mean, I didn't know what was next, and my dad and everyone thought I was nuts. And but it was like, it was that thing, that lightning bolt that was like, okay, I don't know what this is, but my heart is so in it.
Calling for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then that's when the heart starts.
Yeah, most entrepreneurs have that. There's some type of thing in there that's drawing them to something different, and that's that pivot of like, all right, I'm going to take the leap. I'm going to take a jump. Go for it.
That's where we go. The fearless. And I didn't understand what that meant.
Yeah.
And I actually, jumping off that ledge.
Okay, so let me say this. I don't think it's fearless, right? Like, I'm scared shitless when I do stuff, but I think it's the courage to go through the fear.
Well,
right?
so
like,
this is...
Were you afraid?
I think this is a really good point to talk about, because my definition of fearless, and I've been doing a little more research on it, because people...
Tell me, because I'm like, don't call me fearless.
I know.
I'm scared
well,
as shit.
People throw that word around, and the definition that I'm really drawn to, and that I imagine that Jessi, she had the t-shirt that was like in her DNA, this fearlessness. It's
okay.
Fearless isn't the absence of fear. It's taking action in spite of it.
There you go.
So everyone, like Jessi, scared shitless in these pursuits.
Oh my God.
But the point is, your vision is stronger than your hesitation.
Yeah. Ooh, your vision's stronger than your hesitation. I like that.
And like that was that. And so I think that is I want to continue to break down what that fearlessness means. And I've kind of come, and I did a talk at SEMA at the SEMA Businesswoman's symposium last year. And the topic was fearless leadership. And so, cause I was asked to speak about Jessi, which is always, I take it with such a great responsibility, but it's like, how do you put words around something that the way someone made them feel, or that they did. Now we have to put words around it so that it can be understood and carried on. And that's a great responsibility and challenge that the board of directors has. But we're all this group of people that care deeply. We're strong leaders. And having the courage to do that when you know that the world's going to judge you a little bit, maybe, because they're like, well, I didn't, is that really what she did? Or is that what she did? And it's like, you just have to kind of follow your heart, even when, it's the man or the woman in the arena, like, their face is marred with blood and sweat, but it's not the critic that counts.
What I also think is important is realizing, like, we aren't for everyone. And we're unique, and that's okay. And, it's okay to say, this is who we are for. This is the mission we're going for. And these are, the builders, the makers, and
you have to take a stand.
The trailblazers. We're not for everyone.
Right. And if you are, just like, you have to stand for something. And that was challenging for me. I mean, personally and professionally, it was big. I had a lot of my identity. I mean, I'm just being honest here. I had a lot of my identity tied up in Harley Davidson.
Of course, 15 years. Yeah.
So it was like, oh, all right, who's Dana Wilke?
Oh, interesting.
And like, but alongside losing someone that was such an important friend to me in my life. Jessi had a lot of friends. And I'm one of many, but she was the closest friend that I had. And that really impacted me. So it wasn't the public figure that I was drawn to. It was the friendship.
Yeah.
And a woman that you just don't come across other women like that. And that's what I think, Jeni, that we're doing here, that I see in this community we're building. A lot of these girls, these badass unicorns, they haven't met anyone else like them in some cases. And so, the whole people throw around, if you see it, you can be it. And that does make sense. But when you're under the hood of a car, well, these girls are mechanics, they're race car mechanics, they're diesel mechanics, they're welders and fabricators. And, you're the only chick in the shop. And, you don't even realize how powerful you are and what you're doing. And you don't know what it's like to have a friend that's like that too. And what's possible if you have a community with you. Like, you're a powerful human. These women they're our heroes. And so you're a powerful human in your own right. And you don't even know what's possible when you connect with others that are just as powerful as you. That's the holy shit.
It's a great segue so you have the first year you do the scholarship, and now you're it's 5 years in? 6 years. How many scholarships has the foundation given?
So that's the cornerstone, the bedrock of what we do is raise money for scholarships for girls who want to go to trade school. Mm-hmm. That's where Jessi got the start of her career. And Jessi, I think what's good for people to know, and her family talks about this, is it's not like Jessi, at 18 was like, I'm going to trade school. She didn't. She meandered. She meandered until she found her, and I want other women and people to know that, like, that someone like Jessi that you really look up to, her path wasn't linear all the time. And it's okay to try this. She tried that. She tried this. And I don't know how old she was when she went to trade school, in her 20s, later 20s, I don't know, but it was like, it wasn't right away. And so that really was the bedrock. And so that's what now we're continuing, is really, you can take it in so many different directions. So raising money for the scholarships, we've given out over $250,000 to over 65 women pursuing careers in the trades, these trailblazers. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, honestly. Like, there's a lot of amazing scholarships out there. We're not the only one, but we are different.
Yes, and I agree because of the monthly calls too, the scholarship, the connection, the communities. Let's talk a little bit more about that, like what the girls get out of this community.
And I like to say, I mean, it's very, the Harley Davidson is in my DNA in a way, and that's one of the world's most recognized global communities of
I mean, that's
enthusiasts.
A major brand,
Top 3 most recognized brand in the world through Brand Asset Valuator, but that was a while ago. But they did the study, and so they, building the community. So it's like you say those words, and like I said, you sometimes don't know when you're doing it, but COVID, right? So COVID strikes. We started 2019, and then we're like, all right, we're going to do the scholarship. And again, I was new to the nonprofit space. I've been in Fortune 500 for profit my whole career. So, over to nonprofit. So I'm like, brand new to everything, throwing myself in, going, all right, but really surrounding yourself though. Like I look back and really our board of directors was, it's having a group of people around you that have different skill sets that can help guide things along. Cause there's, you got to assume that if I don't know it, well, maybe someone else does.
Finance and marketing and events and fundraising.
And I know a little about all those things, but really finding those, having that kind of core nucleus. And it was really hard in the beginning, Jeni. I mean, we faced a lot of headwinds, internally even.
Yeah. You had to learn how to set everything up. Right?
And face, someday I'll talk even more about that, but we were facing some serious headwinds just right in our board. And I say that without going into detail because just to know that sometimes, you're looking, you look to your right and your left and you assume people are on the same team pulling in the same direction and it's not always the case.
Not always the case. So actually,
get aligned.
I want to hear a little bit more then. How did you get people aligned? Like, or you tell me, I mean, so sometimes it's like.
That was frustrating for me. And that was my, I learned a lot in that because if I could go back 5 years to go to myself and say, keep going. Yeah. And that is what my boyfriend, I would come out of board meetings, tears. I mean, I felt like but when you're fighting for something,
progress,
and you can't change people, but you can stay true. And you don't, coming out the other side, and now I can say this, is that it really, staying true to you and it ends up like if you stand for something that is pure of heart and mission aligned, people come and go, and if you can stick it out longer than and that's what happened. I mean, it's not right for everybody, and everyone served a certain purpose in the beginning, and then folks moved on or changed, and there's a handful of us that are still here, and now it's it was like for me it was bring more voices in.
Yeah.
That helped a lot. It was like bring more voices in. Don't try to change people, but bring more voices to the table that are aligned.
And I think that's the key right there, right? Like the mission of the organization is what draws people together, keeps them kind of going in that same direction.
But sometimes you don't realize that people may have different reasons for doing that.
Yeah.
And that's under the surface.
This makes sense. We are all driven by our own core values, which is very fascinating. And they're all different.
You can display that, we're all in
we're here for this.
Educate, inspire, empower. But then when it comes to actually putting that into action, that's where you learn, you hit the speed bump.
Part of getting shit done in a team.
Right? Like that's the speed bump where you're like, wait a minute, like we say we're aligned, but like, are we really?
Yes. And having a nonprofit, you have volunteers. So you have a lot of great ideas, but the execution.
Right. And that was a big one.
So what did you learn and what works for, Well,
I learned to keep going, push through like that. Jessi, one of her, it's on a lot of posters that she would sign. It's like, never give up, never, ever give up. It sounds simple, but it's like, that I truly experienced that just in the formation of this is not giving up. Because that first year, we didn't know if we were we emptied the bank account for that first year of scholarships. We were like, maybe this is the only time, but like, I think that's a point I want to make is we took a fearless step. That was a bold step that could have ended it, and we knew that. We talked about it. It's like, this could be the end, but we will have given, people gave from their hearts in the beginning, and donated. And so it was like, all right, we want to be in service to this community, these trailblazing women. So let's give them everything. So these volunteers, you know, we were putting in the time. We learned there were people on the board that had done nonprofit work, to be clear.
Yeah.
Which I stuck close to them.
Yes.
And I said, how can I help?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's something that I'm just being really honest.
You know, to be David, right? Like just getting it all.
I'll just say that, like, I hear a lot of people are like, and not just specific to JCF, but I've experienced in my life where people are like, oh, I want to be involved. I want to be involved. I want to be involved. But the people that were like, all right, here, what can I what can I do? This is what I like, know your strengths. Like, this is what I'm good at, you know, or this is what I think I'm good at, or just what do you need? And just keep showing up. And that's what I did. For Steve Elms was a co-founder, and we wouldn't be here without Steve. And you know, he had done a scholarship before, I think. And so I just remember calling Steve and being like, all right, what are we doing? What can we do? And he's like, well, I'm going to do this. I'm like, do you need me to write the copy? Okay. Do you need me to do this?
Lean in and get it
yeah.
done.
It's like,
yeah.
You know, just, all right, well, and you know, how are we going to just ask questions? How are we going to, all right, you got a scholarship. Is it going to be an essay? Is it going to be how are we going to get their applications, you know? And
so when you think about creating a community, it sounds like it started with a purpose, a mission, then being curious and being okay to make connections and conversations and learning from each other to just build something together.
That was my lesson, is showing up even if you don't know what you're doing yet.
Yeah, you figured it out.
And like, that was what I learned when I look back, is we would show up to all the communities that were important to Jessi, even though we didn't quite know what we were doing yet.
You would just show up.
We just showed up and we accepted donations, and we told people, we talked about wanting to do a scholarship. So that first year, we just started showing up. A SEMA show, SEMA 2019.
Nice.
I'm looking at Adele right now, our co-founder that was with Warren Industries, and
I know
we wouldn't be here without Warren Industries. They came behind us immediately. One of Jessi's main sponsors and people that gave her a shot, really believed in her, helped us get to that show, and they gave us a shot.
So let's talk about where we are today, since we people walking in and out of the shot anyway.
Yeah.
As well.
SEMA 2025. I can't believe it.
2025. And you guys were the first to do a booth activation, right? The one year you did like tattoos or something.
So we've been here every year. The Jessi Combs Foundation's been here every year, and we've taken a little different iterations.
Yeah.
But going back to that point about showing up, even if you don't quite know, like, why. It's hard to explain that, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm here right now.
That you show up in service.
I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it.
You're doing it. That's because that's the kind of gal you are.
Yeah.
And that's what's up, because I remember, like I said, we had the mission statement. So we were crystal clear on our mission and Jessi's brand and our drive, and we're on our why.
That's also key too. I think when people understand themselves and their why, it makes it so much easier to find an organization to be a part of, or a nonprofit to be in, or a community, you know, whatever you're drawn to.
Yep.
It makes it easier when you understand what motivates and drives you.
Yeah. And honestly, that's what Jessi really ended up being. Like, I think that's when people, you know, she emulated so many different facets of leadership, but that was one of them. I think she really was crystal clear in her drive and what she wanted to do. And she didn't let anything get in her way. It was like anything that could try to get in the way. It's like you're driving a race car and stuff just blurs on the side. You're just laser focused to the windshield, and, you know, when in doubt, throttle out.
We got some good nuggets on this one. Okay, so let's talk about what we got here. We got the Road to SEMA vehicle in front of us.
Oh yeah.
Talk a little bit about
the girls. Oh my gosh. Well, so do you want me to finish on how we got the community started? Because that's a fast forward.
Yes.
COVID 2019 emptied the bank account, and we had to figure out how to get them the paperwork. I mean, this is the kind of thing I want people to know, that sometimes the most seemingly mundane moments can lead to something important and remarkable, that it's the seeds that you're watering and you don't even know it.
Yes.
But you're going through the motions to do the right things. So we had to get them their paperwork. So Adele and I were like, all right, we got to do this is during COVID, and, you know, pre-COVID, people didn't know Zoom. That was like, I mean, corporate girl, I knew Zoom, like it was my life because I was a field rep. And, but it was like, okay, well, now everyone kind of knows about Zoom, just like my grandpa knows what a QR code is now. Like, you know, like, so Zoom became kind of this ubiquitous thing. And so we scheduled the Zoom call for the first seven. We gave 7 scholarships that year to the class of 2020, the OG class.
Gosh, 2020. You started nonprofit in COVID, not
in the middle of COVID. Turned out to be honestly the horrible thing I would never wish on anybody, but it gave us a chance to get our shit together.
Okay.
Because the world stopped and we, Adele and I started meeting as we connected. We just started kept doing stuff. And so we scheduled a Zoom call. All the girls come on, the board members come on. We present them. Each board member calls every recipient that gets it. We watch every video. And we want to get to know these women. And so at the end of the call, after they all connected and they're like, hey, can we do this again sometime? And I was like, sure.
Yeah.
And that was the moment
that you started this.
And I said, when do you want to do another one? And they're like, well, how about next month? And I was like, okay. So I made an agenda.
Yeah.
I know how to make a meeting invite. He's like, I'm like, this is the kind of shit that I know how to do. That is not sexy. It's not cool, but I know how to do it. And if it brings these women together that otherwise they're all across the country.
Yeah.
And they're on their own, in their own garage, in their own shop.
Well, like you said, too, I mean, a lot of them have never seen anyone else like them in the shop. And so what you're doing is breaking down those walls and making connections. So people go, oh my God, they're doing it. I could do it too.
Yeah.
That's what I love about the whole reason I started this podcast was to help people understand, there are others out there.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Literally.
You can break down barriers and get shit done.
Yeah. And connect, reach out, find your community. Some of this shit sounds cliche, and as I hear myself say it, because I've heard it.
Community can sound
it's the C word that gets overused, but for me, until I feel it, it's I've heard all these words for a long time, but now I've felt it.
And like you said, your why and your purpose aligned. Yeah.
So I think that was that was the start. And again, it's something so simple, but consistency. And this has been the thing that I've showed up for, in my life, that every Sunday for the last 6 years, every Sunday once a month. So 12 times a year. On Sundays, now it's Mondays, we host the scholarship calls.
Yeah.
And the girls are invited to come to these. And they don't have to come. No one has to do anything. A lot of women, they'll take the check and they'll go, and we wish them well and we're so stoked.
Yeah. But
they also know that they're invited to come back and be part of this kind of family, and that, they're always welcome. And so even if their job takes them for a year where their schedule doesn't align, they'll circle back. I mean, there were times, Jeni, when, it was me and one other girl on a call.
Hey, yeah,
and I remember thinking, are these worth it anymore? Does people even want it? That's that moment where dips.
When I write blogs and stuff, it's one person, but you know what? One person could create a ripple effect, like a pebble in a pond.
And the key,
you never know.
And the consistency, because then all of a sudden, the next call 2 or 3, and then the next call there's 10, and then a whole new class comes in, because we welcome in 15 new girls every year, and that brings in new energy. And some women, it's exactly what they didn't know they needed.
Exactly. Yep.
But we offer it up, and it doesn't cost us anything to bring people together like that. And that's where, again, that human connection, I know that it's on Zoom, but it's, as things go with AI and all these other things, can't fabricate that. And that's what I think we have. That's this, is this lightning rod to authenticity, that can only be achieved through true human connection.
Action.
So that really is how those calls, again, it sounds silly, but it really, that consistency. And that's where we talk about, we need to do more newsletters and stuff, I know, but that call became the place where if you show up for each other, the benefit is you then also hear about how to come to SEMA, because we'll bring the scholarship girls. Every door Jessi kicked open, we hold the door open for these girls to walk through if they want to, and they have to want it, and they have to show up for each other first, because those calls are just us barking at, we all sit on conference calls and someone's like I'm doing now, I guess, but
we are going to fun time here a little bit,
but it ends up being that anyway. So it's just really, it's that way of showing up for each other, and good things happen in that way.
It's really funny. I'm sitting here hearing connections in my brain. We talk about C word: community, curiosity, connections, courage.
Courage.
It's a lot of courage.
Yeah.
So you brought the scholarship. Some of the scholarship girls came to this show.
So
what's in the plan?
Another organic, awesome Jessi magic, we call it sometimes. So Riley of Riley's Rebuilds, an amazing up and coming leader in the industry. She was working on a project. They did the Great Race, which if you don't know, it's a rally, cross country rally.
Thursday.
Oh, Riley will. Great. You'll hear from her. She's awesome. And so Riley was named the SEMA. SEMA has a Jessi Combs Rising Star Award every year. And we selected Riley, I think it was 2 years ago for that. That's how we got to know her. And turns out Riley was a big fan of Jessi's. Awesome. And her dad was a big fan of Jessi's. And so he just connected through that and have stayed connected. And they've really invited us into some of their project work and vice versa. And so we get a call about, what are we going to do for SEMA 2025? And the girls had built this 1966 Ford Fairlane that's sitting right across the way.
Yes.
And they did that for the Great Race, and a bunch of creators came together, and it was really cool. You can find some of that content on their channels. But the car broke down a lot in that race, and they wanted kind of a redemption opportunity.
A redemption tour.
It is the redemption tour.
Okay.
So they broke down, and we also, through a new partnership with Storyteller Overland, we've been given what we're calling the Trailblazer Tour Van.
Yeah.
And it's an off-road adventure Mercedes Sprinter van that we wanted to use as a chase vehicle to support. You have scholarship girls drive it. We didn't have it ready in time. So we were like, all right, we had all these great things and we went out and did it, but like, it wasn't what we hoped it could be. And so this was that opportunity. So we're like, all right, how do we make the road to SEMA something interactive, and like let's try this again. And turns out SEMA was doing a campaign #Road to SEMA where they're spotlighting different journeys to the show here in Las Vegas. And so the girls they put a plan together, and they called me, and they're like, well, where would Jessi have done this, or where would a place that'd be meaningful, because the car has the big Jessi Combs Foundation decal on it, and the girls signed the hood, and it's painted Goldie Rocks gold.
Yeah,
that's Jessi's color. And so the girls just made an epic road trip out of it, and that it's so true to Jessi form, because it's
perfect.
In the motorcycle world, we say it's not the destination, it's the journey, and I think for the Jessi Combs Foundation, it's both.
That is a great segue to any last words about what's the next step? Like, do you want to talk about the gala or anything?
Yeah. So, wrapping up, really, summing up all of this, the fearless leadership, I think, is something that I want listeners and people to think more about. And that's not the absence of fear. Like I mentioned, it's doing it anyway. And know that you will face fear, but how do you punch through it? And how do you do it with kindness? How do you do it with kindness, respect, integrity, all the things that the tenets of what Jessi was as a leader, I think is really important. And that's what she was at this show. But I think that's what we also can provide as an environment for our scholarship recipients, which is what makes us different than any other scholarship out there.
Well, you said she kicked open the door, and now we're helping bring more through.
Yeah, we're throwing logs on the fire. Jessi started the fire. We're throwing logs on it. We've got our biggest fundraiser of the year coming up in a week and a half, on November 15th in Parker, Colorado. So we'll be launching our online auction in a few days. So people that can't make it to Parker can get involved that way. We are funded completely by donations from kind-hearted individuals, companies, grants, and this fundraiser, our ability to provide scholarships next year depends on it.
So what's the website where we can find you?
thejessicombsfoundation.com. You can find information on the gala, about Jessi. If you haven't watched Jessi's documentary on HBO Max, please do. It's called The Fastest Woman on Earth. It's a hard title to forget. So thanks, Jeni, for having me.
Thank you, Dana, for being here.
Thanks for listening to GSD with Jeni. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend. For more ways to GSD, you can also find me on LinkedIn at Jeni Buchholz, where you can sign up for my Maven Mindset newsletter, or follow me on Instagram at Maven Jeni. Until next time, go GSD, Mavens!